Hi, welcome back to the Cuzzy Sound channel. For my latest Loops and Beeps track, 28.8, I needed to record a slightly longer tape loop than I've been using in the past. Now in the past I made just a basic loop around the jockey wheels in the middle of the cassette. The 23.5 centimetres I think it is, that the length of the tape that does that. But it looks a little bit like this. Well, it looks exactly like this. Unfortunately, that doesn't give me enough time to get the full recording in that I needed for 28.8. Now, what I did try, and I actually use this in the recording, I have my motor controller box here. And what I can do, I can slow down the motor. I can't speed it up. The way it plugs in, it's the I've probably shown these things before. It's my Sony. I'm not quite sure what make this one is. TCM 939. TCM 939. It's a simple mono recorder player. But I can slow the motor down. I can't speed it up. I can slow it down with that control. So what I did, because I wanted the tape to play initially faster and then gradually slower, so I slowed the motor speed down and then made the recording. But even with that, my 23.5 centimetre tape loop still wasn't long enough unless I slowed it down further than I really wanted to go. So I decided I'd have to do something to get a slightly longer length of tape in there without it all mangling up inside. This is the finished product. Whoa. Here we go. And this tape, normally I will try and get tapes that have a screwed case. That way I can actually unscrew the case and screw it back together, and it's dead easy to work with. In this case, excuse the pun, it wasn't screwed at all. What this was, it's a cassette that was bought in a whole bundle from a charity shop for around about 50 pence or something like that. So it started out life as, well, here we are, a Reader's Digest special. Now, fortunately, when I came to prise it open, a lot of the cases that are sealed are actually properly sealed. They're glued, and they tend to be a fairly brittle plastic that can shatter. This plastic is a little bit more ductile. It doesn't easily crack, and when I prized it, it pinged apart really easy. So I thought, right, okay, I need to have a look at what I can do with this. Now, I've seen modifications to cassettes where they use extra little guide wheels. Another cassette out of the camera here. I don't know if you can see this, but there's the little guide wheels in the front corners of the cassette that guide the tape around. Now, I've got several cassettes that I say I buy a bundle for pennies from the charity shop, and then just butcher them really. So I've got some of those little guide wheels. I've got a few of those kicking around. So I thought, right, I can mount some extra guide wheels and use those to send the tape on a slightly longer path around the inside of the cassette. So the idea is to end up with it looking like this. So there you can see I've got a decent length of tape in there now. I can't remember exactly how long it is. It's probably somewhere just over 30 centimetres, or 1 foot in old units. How to mount those was the next issue. So what I did, I positioned them where I thought I wanted them to be, and then I got map pins and pushed it down the centre of the rollers and made a mark in the plastic. Then I wanted to find something that would make a decent shaft to sit the guide rollers on, and I decided that probably the nearest thing I could get was tack pins, the tiny little nails. So the thing to do was to cut down the tack pins, and I found that cutting them down to 8mm was enough to go through one side of the case and all the way through the jockey wheel to hold it nicely in place. So basically, having started the hole with the fine mat pins, or thumbtacks, or what you want to call them, I then widened it out by working one of these tack pins through the hole. As you can see here, it literally just poked it through the plastic. I then cut the tack pins down to length and mounted 3 of them across the top of the cassette, so it looks like this. And then obviously I can just sit the jockey wheels over the top, and then I can start and thread the tape through, and eventually I get this length of tape that looks like this. And then when I put it all back together, I get a nice neat cassette that looks like this. So yeah, so that was it. That was the cassette made. So I then put it into my Sony player. I wired up the motor speed controller, turned the speed down slightly, probably turned it down to about, I don't know, 75-80% of normal speed, and then recorded my narrative, which, if you've heard the track, it's a list of element isotopes. Then turned it back up to full speed, played it back, and away it goes. If you're not used to working with cassettes, the one thing to remember is when you get the commercial cassettes, in the top corners here, there will be a little hole. And what that does, that prevents you accidentally recording over what's already on the tape. So a little bit of sticky tape over the hole allows you to record over whatever's there. If you're as old as me, that was a trick learnt a while back, but some people probably are not that familiar with cassette these days. So that was it, and yeah, it worked really, really well. So rather than kind of spending lots of money on commercially made extended length tapes, or which would be great, probably a lot better quality than this. Because the other thing, I haven't got a proper tape slicer. I do everything with a pair of scissors and sticky tape. But hey, it works for what I want to do. And if you're interested in what it sounds like in the mix, then go check out the 28.8 Loops and Beeps track. And hopefully, yeah, you'll enjoy it. And it's quite straightforward, really. I've shown you how to do it. So if you're fancy getting into tape loops and things, then go on. Have a go. Build your own.
Strontium 90. Yttrium 90.